To the NFL. Frank Gore was a 49er stud for a decade when he decided to join the Colts in 2015. He apparently had much higher hopes for Indy. After Sunday's loss to the division rival Texans, Gore told the Indianapolis Star, quote, "I didn't come here for this. I came to get into the tournament." Stephen A., should Gore regret joining the Colts?
Yes, he should. Yes, he should. And I feel bad in saying that because I know that when you're a running back, one of the biggest reasons you go to a team is for the quarterback. And Andrew Luck is certainly worthy for going to Indianapolis. The problem is that Ryan Grigson has done a piss-poor job of helping protect and build around Andrew Luck. You haven't really protected him. Andrew Luck in his first 3 years in the NFL was sacked 100 times. He was hit about 70 additional times. Last year, he was out, only played about 7 to 9 games because of a lacerated kidney, along with a bevy of other injuries. This year, even though their offense is ranked 7th, and their passing attack is ranked 13th, and their running game is ranked 17th, here's the reality of the situation. Andrew Luck has been sacked 23 times. We can't count the amount of times he has been hit. Even though you've drafted on the offensive line, you haven't shown up in free agency. Your drafts haven't been that great if you're Grigson. Combine that with the collaborative efforts that Pagano and Grigson have put forth. They're clearly not on the same page. There's a lot of rumblings in Indianapolis about mismanagement on the part of the coaching staff. And you combine that with clearly mismanagement on the part of Grigson, and Frank Gore is absolutely right. This is not what he signed up for. Frank Gore has been in the league for quite a long time. Frank Gore, in 8 of his previous 9 years in San Francisco, was a 1,000-plus yard runner. The only year he didn't rush for 1,000 yards was, I think it's 2010 or 2011, where he got hurt and only played 11 games. The only time in his career when he has been healthy and he has not rushed for 1,000 yards is with the Indianapolis Colts. Because of the protection or lack thereof you've given to Andrew Luck. As a result, you've given to buffering the running game. And now this defense isn't showing up. They're ranked 28th in the league, 25th against the rush, okay, 29th against the pass. I mean, come on. You didn't sign up for that. So he did make a mistake because this is not the team he thought he was coming to. And it's all about Grigson and Pagano. And Irsay, who kept them together.
Frank Gore absolutely did not make a mistake going to the Colts. And everything you said about Grigson is right. I mean, they did not put a team together. But going into that situation, it's not like the Colts looked amazing. Andrew Luck looked amazing. And he still is. Look, is Andrew Luck still my pick for MVP? It doesn't look good right now, right? But I'm not bailing on it. He's 7th in the league in QBR, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And you could say whatever, if this, if that. But the fact is, they lost a close overtime game in which the defense absolutely collapsed. Still, overtime means it's a very close game. They had the late lead. If they win that game, they're in a tie for first place right now and have a divisional win over the Colts, who are in fact, over the Texans, who are in fact in first place right now. So it looks bad. Oh, they're last place there, 2 and 4, whatever. They were a play away from tied with the Texans. And why is that? It's the same reason they won 11 games for Andrew Luck's first 3 seasons in the league. Because he really, when you isolate him, he's the best player in football. Yep. Really, when you look at Andrew Luck and what he brings and isolate his value from the rest of the team, he's a one-man band. So what does he need? He needs a running back. And Frank Gore, an older running back, he's not elite anymore. If he ever was, I'm not saying he was ever top 5, he was a very good back, is still a good back. He's carried the ball 100 times. He has 434 yards. So by my calculations, not only will he have 1,000 yards this year plus, but he's averaging 4.34 yards a carry, which is quite good, Stephen A. Smith.
We can appreciate your calculations if you're looking at it in a vacuum. But we're not talking about Frank Gore in a vacuum because Frank Gore alluded to the point that he may have made a mistake coming here. This is not what he signed up for. He's clearly not talking about himself.
Right,
Hold on. So I'll let you talk.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I didn't say a word.
No,
I didn't say a word.
No.
The fact is that Max, your opinion is embarrassing.
Oh.
You know why? Because outside of Denver, they got losses to the Lions, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Houston Texans. Your MVP candidate got losses to Detroit, Jacksonville, and Houston. That's why.
And yet
That's why.
And yet they're a play away from being tied for first place.
Play away.
Why is
Stop.
it? And why is it?
Stop.
Wait, hold
That's
on.
nonsense.
I still not have gotten to this. Why is it a good idea for Gore?
Go ahead.
Because they needed a running game.
I got nothing else to say.
And if and when they make the playoffs this year, which is entirely possible, Gore will get an enormous amount of credit,
Keep talking.
which he will deserve.
Keep talking. Your MVP candidate, just like I told you, might not even make the playoffs.
All right.
Of course, Des Bryant and Tony Romo should be moved at the end of the year. Why not? Move them while they have high equity. They both been proven to be injury prone. And championships are about systems anyway. And that's how you win championships, not with individual talent, but with systems.
They should not trade Des Bryant. Why? Because in this league, you need a number one wide receiver. Come playoff time, you're going to need that number one wide receiver to take the pressure off the rookie quarterback and off the other receivers.
Stephen A., if you want to trade Romo, you are simply inviting the problems from last year that we don't have a backup quarterback. Let's say, God forbid, Dak Prescott gets injured. Who's going to be our backup quarterback? Butt fumble Sanchez? Please, me or you could throw better than him for the Cowboys.
And Stephen A. Smith, I know you didn't have a gall to disagree with the great Donovan McNabb about Des Bryant being expendable. Of course he's expendable. If the quarterback is expendable, you know the wide receiver is expendable. And Stephen A., don't think I ain't got no suits. I'm coming at you. Only reason why I'm wearing this t-shirt is because I'm honoring Stuart Scott, the late great Stuart Scott. I'm coming for y'all's first date.
You honoring Stuart Scott there, of course. Stephen A., you're just inviting the same problems from last year. Listen to these folks, would you? The First Take, Your Take viewer contest is here, and you just saw a few of our submissions already. We love them. Thank you so much for sending them in. And you could win a chance to debate the guys right here on national television. All you got to do, go to firsttakeyourtake.com, upload a 1-minute video with your your best sports original debate. Keep it clean, plus no music, team, logos, trademarks, copyrighted material. 2 winners will be selected by our show staff. Get busy. We could see you right here taking on these two at the debate desk.
I like the brother with the Stuart Scott shirt on.
Yeah.
I thought he was a little innovative. I liked his delivery. I like what he had to say. Right now,
He's your favorite?
He's my favorite so far.
You know what I like?
He has flavor, and he didn't just regurgitate one of our arguments. He took something a step further, and he had a delivery.
You know what else he did? He knows you two are wardrobe police, so he shut it down that he has suits, and he was just representing for Stuart Scott, which we appreciate.
Yep, always.
Cowboys rookie running back, meanwhile, Ezekiel Elliott has been a standout this season, going for a career-high 157 rushing yards this Sunday and helping Dallas get to a 5-1 record. Zeke has impressed his teammate Des Bryant, who told the Fort Worth Star-Telegram he predicts Elliott will rush for 2,000 or more yards this season. So where does Elliott's awesome start rank in NFL history? He's off to the second best start ever through 6 games in terms of rushing yards, behind only Eric Dickerson. Wow. Stephen A. Or start with you, Max. Can Zeke get to 2,000 yards?
He can. To start this season, before this season started, Ezekiel Elliott was the choice of many as the #1 overall fantasy pick.
Yep.
#1 overall in your fantasy draft. If you go first, take Ezekiel Elliott. Why? Because he was a stud in college. Because he is fast, like his 40 time is fast. Even his, it's not always zigzagging, but boy, he can hit a hole. And because the Dallas Cowboys have not only the best offensive line in the game, but they plan to use it. The plan coming into this season, even with Romo as quarterback, was they're going to hand the ball to Ezekiel Elliott more than any team is going to hand the ball to their running back. And unlike a team like Los Angeles, where they're just going to stack the box against Gurley because they have no other offense. In fact, there are some other offensive weapons on Dallas. They're going to have to play Dallas a little more honestly. So everyone knew Ezekiel Elliott was going to eat this season, which is why not getting off to the fastest start the first couple games, people like me were like, whoa. The game plan is to give him the ball. They're giving it to him. The offensive line is amazing, and he's still not racking up the yards. He needs about 120 yards a game the rest of the way to get to 2,000 yards. It's been done before, after all. And I absolutely think he can get it. If you look at these holes the offensive line is opening for him, Stephen A., they're sometimes not touching him for 8 or 10 yards. It's not like he's breaking tackles. He's going through wide open holes with breakaway speed. He can get it.
He's got 2 games against the Eagles coming up. He's got a game against the Baltimore Ravens coming up. He's got a game against the Minnesota Vikings coming up. He's got a game against the Giants coming up. And Detroit and Tampa. I'm quite sure he'll have a few hundred more yard-plus games. I'm quite sure he's going to get close to 300 carries because DeMarco Murray in his 1,845-yard season had 292 carries. he ain't getting 2,000 yards. It's not going to happen. Because somehow, some way, again, y'all don't understand who the Cowboys are and how they're going to mess things up. It's easy to give him the ball that much now because Des Bryant's not there, okay, and Tony Romo is not back. You don't have questions and trepidation about that. Remember, it don't matter who you start if all you're going to do is hand the ball over to Ezekiel Elliott. But when you have to worry about that, okay, that's an issue. So Dak is going to be in a mood to prove himself, and they're having more and more faith in him and letting him venture out and take more risk and do more things. Then you've got Des Bryant and his imminent return. You still got Jason Witten and Cole Beasley to get the ball to. You have Darren McFadden ultimately coming back with Alfred Morris already there, even though Alfred Morris only got like 33 carries and Ezekiel Elliott already has 137. You got to be concerned about the fact that even though he's a rookie, he's a fourth overall pick in the first round. You're going to want to be cognizant and protective of him. So all of those elements that come into the equation are going to dissipate the number of touches to some degree. It's going to interfere with what they've been doing over the first 6 games. And as a result, that's going to get in the way. I'm not saying he couldn't, meaning he doesn't have the ability to pull it off, because he clearly does, particularly behind that offensive line. But one of those elements, if not a multitude of them, will come into play, which will prevent him from getting 2,000 yards.
I disagree. 2 reasons. 1, the most impressive thing about the Dallas Cowboys this year, and you hear analysts say this, and sometimes it sounds like BS when you have nothing better to say, but sometimes it applies. The team doesn't know what it is, who they are. They don't have their identity. Dallas has its identity. It is a time of possession, ball control offense. You do that by running the ball. You know, you don't do that by taking shots down the field constantly. You do that by handing it to a dominant back behind an excellent offensive line and with a quarterback that's not going to turn the ball over. That's exactly who Dallas is. That's how they're having their success. And furthermore, that's just the execution of the game plan heading into the season. This is who they wanted to be and planned to be, and now it's successful. That's 1. 2, in terms of being protective of the running back, you're not protective of your running back. Well, they spent a high draft pick on him. What you want to do with a running back is use him up before you have to pay him. Right now, you don't really have to pay him. And running backs, the shelf life is they start to kind of fall off at 28 by 30. They're just not the same. Use them up now.
We only got a couple of seconds left. I heard your point. Hear mine. Number 1, you wanted to do that primarily to protect Tony Romo. You don't have such concerns with Dak Prescott. Okay, you have to look at it from that perspective. And I think that absolutely cannot be ignored. And number 2, you would be right about Ezekiel Elliott, but keep in mind this point. What were the ingredients to their success as 3-time Super Bowl champions? Yes, you had Emmitt Smith with a Michael Irvin, the playmaker, with a Hall of Famer and quarterback Troy Aikman. But the combination of the trio, it was a yin and a yang to it. It was a combination of going both ways. What you didn't do was give it to the young stud that was Emmitt Smith and said, we're going to run you into the ground. You wanted to be protective of him because you knew with him you could win Super Bowls for years to come. You ain't just chasing 1 year of glory. That is the difference, and that's why I said Ezekiel Elliott's going to get the ball. He's going to be successful. But 2,000 yards? Nah.